Yo, so let's talk about how to do this silly little fix. So I opened up your command module here. I clicked on the door, duplicated it, um, deleted all of the faces that I didn't need, leaving just these. Then I centered the pivot so that it lines up here, and then I wanted to move it just slightly off. You can see that it's moved just slightly off so it doesn't flicker. And I did that by selecting D and then selecting Control Orient to this this edge. Turn D off, that's the selection editor, and then was able to move this up and down like that. And I just very little bit moved it off, just so that it lies just on top. And then I exported this, or sorry, we didn't export just yet. Went to the UV editor, found a space where the UV shell can sit and not affect any of the other parts of the asset. And I found that you had a little space right here where I could stick that shell and not affect anything else. So once I had UV shell placement and the model itself made, then I went ahead and selected this group and exported it to bring into Substance Painter to paint on the new sticker. So let's go head over there. Yo. Alright, let's get into it. So something I forgot to say while we were still using Maya is that obviously the UV shell that we just made, that little corner piece, it should obviously be bigger, or like made bigger afterwards and then put in the UV shell placement so it can have better resolution than what it originally had. So just make sure your UV shell is bigger and can accomplish the resolution needs that you have. So this is actually the substance file that you just sent me, which means that it does not have that piece of geometry or shell in there yet. So what I do is just import the new one, which I'm sure you've done 1,000 times, but I'll explain it anyways just in case. I also noticed that these recordings don't show the menus, so I'll try to explain it while I'm using the menus. So right now I'm clicking on Edit, Project Configuration. Then I choose Select, I choose the new FBX I made with that new piece of geometry there in the corner. I leave Preserve Strokes Positions on Mesh selected because you have strokes being used. That's these stickers. So we'll press OK and we'll let it process the new mesh. Reapply all the materials. It's just loading a little bit. Let it do its thing. Yeah, and so now we can see that stuff is happening. So obviously this square looks a little bit better than the area around it because it has more resolution available to it. So let's go look at it. So this is what we need to deal with, is our little square friend. So let's go ahead and make a new layer. So this layer I'm going to make a new mask so we can just affect this square piece. So we're going to add a black mask and then we're going to select just these polygons we want to affect. Right here I'm scrolling over the mask just to see if it was effective because you can't see that in the recording. It was effective. So now we click back onto the color area and now we're going to set this up. Oh, okay, sorry, one other thing. This current asset that you sent me doesn't have the correct shader applied. The alpha part is missing, so I'm just going to click on Window, Views, Shader Settings, and then I'm going to go over to the actual shader it's using, which is currently PBR Metal Rough, and it's outdated. And instead, I'm going to select PBR Metal Rough with Alpha Blending. So now the opacity channel will work. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that bad boy on. And have everything else applied pretty generically, but I want to make sure that this opacity is set to black, so invisible. And then I'm going to paint all over this bad boy. I'm going to paint him away. I'm going to paint that little square away. So now you can see that it doesn't exist anymore in the 3D version. the version with all the maps applied properly. So now I'm going to go and import some textures. So we're going to import an informative stamp that I made, and then I also made an alpha for that informative stamp. So I'm going to go to File, Import Resources, Add Resources, select both the sticker alpha and the sticker diffuse that I made, and then, you know, apply the correct information like the, oh sorry, this one is the alpha, boop, this one's the texture. So yeah, we have the alpha for the alpha and texture for the texture. We'll import it to the project. So now we have these two things. So we're going to go back to our paintbrush settings. We're going to drag and drop the sticker alpha into the opacity, and then drag and drop the color or the diffuse channel into the base color. And now you'll have this nice little stamp. That's all ready for you to just go, bloop. And there it is. It's a little small. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Bloop. Yeah. So yeah, that's how you do it. Guess we could rotate this around and put it at a weird angle. So you can see that there's still some aliasing problems. It's a little bit better than what's happening over here. Really, that's just something that we'll have to deal with, unless you can find a place in your UV to like make this shell, your fix-it shell, like huge, so that the aliasing isn't a problem. But the aliasing is always going to happen when you know the texture resolution is too low. So it really depends on where you can find a space for a shell to get bigger, so you can do this fix more effectively. But yeah, that's how you do it. Good luck!